Okay, let's get into it. Today we're doing a deep dive on a really interesting paradox. It's the world of high-level executive coaching, and we're looking at a specific framework from August Jaeger. Because you'd think, right, once you hit the C-suite, or you're a VP, or you've built a company, you've got it all figured out.
Right. You'd assume clarity is a given at that level, but that's not what the sources show at all. It's actually a pretty bizarre reality check. The core problem that they're addressing is that moment when success just stops feeling successful.
Right.
And that's the point, that hollow feeling that drives these senior leaders to look for a pretty radical intervention.
And the symptoms are so specific and, really quite draining to read about. We're talking about that person who has definitively achieved the CV,
But
right?
there's just zero fulfillment.
None. They talk about a sudden loss of energy or clarity, even confidence, or this feeling of being fundamentally undervalued in a job they fought so hard to get.
It's an emotional fatigue.
Right.
And it's not from overwork, it's from misalignment.
Misalignment,
Yeah.
that's the perfect word for it.
And this is where the sources make a really critical distinction right away. They categorize this pain as existential, not tactical.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Well, a tactical problem is about, improving efficiency. You hire a consultant, maybe an interim manager.
You solve a business problem.
Exactly. But existential pain, that means the very structure of your life, the one you built around that success, is now the source of the suffering. It's a crisis of meaning because they won the game.
And that needs a whole different kind of playbook.
A completely different approach. It's not a strategy update. It's more like a re-architecture of their identity.
And that framework is exactly what we're going to dissect today. So our mission is to unpack this August Jaeger framework, figure out who they're really targeting, and then compare the different pathways they offer. Let's start with the client. Who is actually ready for this level of, internal demolition and rebuild?
The client profile is really the first filter. They're looking for intelligent, self-aware, values-driven people. And the key thing is they have to be explicitly ready for reinvention.
Ready for the hard work.
Yes, and the source material even says they want clients who are looking for the truth, not cheerleading.
Which tells you a lot.
It tells you this is going to be challenging, not just some motivational pep talk.
And this existential pain, it seems to touch almost every senior role. The target audience list is pretty broad. VPs, directors, C-suite, founders, but also, senior specialists moving into leadership for the first time, or high achievers who suddenly feel misaligned.
And leaders navigating burnout, or even professionals coming back after a big career shock.
So it's less about your title.
Oh, absolutely. The
Yeah.
barrier to entry isn't the title on your business card. It's the readiness to be brutally honest with yourself. And the process itself starts with a really clear 3-stage experience that's designed to figure that out.
Okay, walk us through those initial steps. I imagine with such a high commitment program later on, the entry has to be a pretty serious filter.
It is. Stage 1 is a no-cost 25-minute discovery call. It's a very low-stakes way to just explore the situation and the pressure points.
Okay.
But stage 2, that's where the rubber meets the road. It's a 60-minute deep dive session. And they give it a specific name, the Stellschraub session.
Stellschraub. That's the German term, right? For an adjustment screw or a regulating screw.
Exactly. And it perfectly reflects the goal. That whole hour is dedicated to uncovering the root causes, the hidden identity misalignments, and finding that one precise pivot point.
So the idea is that one small, critical internal adjustment
That regulating screw.
can lead to these huge external strategic changes.
Precisely. They're not looking for some massive structural change at first. They're looking for that tiny internal flaw or that hidden assumption that's derailing the whole system.
That's a critical concept. It's diagnosing the root identity cause before you even think about strategy.
Yes. And only after that deep dive, after they find the Stellschraub, do they move to the final step, which is the proposal walkthrough. And that's where they lay out the personalized roadmap.
So that Stellschraub session really is the conceptual keystone of the whole thing. They're essentially guaranteeing that before they hand you a map, they know exactly who they're building it for.
And that holistic approach is just reinforced by the 5 core guiding principles that underpin everything they do. These are basically the non-negotiable foundations for the work.
Okay, let's look at those 5 principles, but I want to push on them a little. Why are these principles so necessary for people who are, by any measure, already incredibly successful?
That's a great question. So the sources lay them out clearly. Principle 1 is deep identity work. That means clarifying values, purpose, internal drivers, and unconscious patterns.
But hold on, why do these hyper-successful people need to clarify their values? Isn't that what corporate leadership development is for?
See, that's the difference. Corporate training is usually about shared company values or maybe competency gaps. This kind of work targets the unconscious patterns, the scripts we wrote for ourselves when we were 20, you know.
And we just keep following them without realizing it.
Exactly. And when your success has been built by following a script that's now outdated or misaligned, that's when this principle becomes revolutionary.
That makes a lot of sense. A great strategy built on a flawed internal script is just a fast track to burnout. So what comes after the identity work?
Principle 2 is strategic positioning. That's defining the next chapter and figuring out how to get there. Then principle 3 is momentum and execution. It's about building a structured weekly rhythm to break out of that stagnation.
That decision paralysis.
Right. And that leads to principle 4, continuous accountability and recalibration. And this is specifically about moving through resistance, fear, self-doubt, all the things that pop up.
That fourth one seems crucial because the resistance must be strongest right after you found that pivot point, right? I mean, you've just dismantled their whole self-image. Is forcing them through that a good thing, or does it just create more stress?
Well, that's where principle 5 comes in. And this is a real game changer. It's unlimited support.
What does that mean in practice?
It means access between sessions via WhatsApp or email. So you get continued access, immediate accountability. For a leader who's used to waiting a week between meetings, having that kind of instantaneous support is, well, it's a powerful tool for those moments of doubt.
That unlimited support, especially for C-suite clients, is fascinating. We're talking about highly compensated executives. That level of real-time support suggests they really recognize the psychological volatility of this kind of work.
They do. It turns it from just coaching into a sustained partnership.
And that partnership model is what they scale across the 3 different pathways they offer.
Right, depending on how complex the reinvention needs to be.
So we understand the philosophy. Deep identity work is the Stellschraub. Now let's see how they actually package this. How do the 3 options scale in terms of time, cost, and depth?
Okay, let's start with the most focused one. It's called the Alignment Accelerator. It's priced at $3,500 over 60 days.
2 months, so pretty quick.
Very quick. This is all about getting direction and positioning. The outcomes are a clarified next chapter, a refined narrative, a new decision framework, and your personal pivot map.
So it's tactical guidance, but it's built on that clarified identity from the Stellschraub session.
Exactly. If you kind of know where you want to go, but you're stuck on the first step, this gives you the map.
Okay. The next level up, the reinvention sprint, sounds like a much bigger overhaul.
It is. The reinvention sprint is $6,950, and it's over 120 days.
4 months.
4 months. And this is about internal restructuring. The outcomes go way beyond clarity. We're talking identity realignment, career re-architecture, a compelling executive narrative, and this is key. Psychological deblocking.
Psychological deblocking.
Yes. This is for the leader who really needs to dismantle and re-engineer their entire professional identity. It promises increased energy and confidence as a result.
And then there's the big one, the deepest, longest engagement, the executive transformation partnership.
This is the full investment. It's a sustained long-term approach, $12,000 across 240 days.
8 months.
8 months of a deep partnership. And that cost and duration, it really acts as a serious commitment filter.
I'd imagine so. And the outcomes?
They reflect that timeline. Full professional reinvention, leadership reframing, behavior and mindset upgrades, performance rewiring,
Performance rewiring.
complete pivot execution, and ongoing strategic counsel.
That $12,000 8-month commitment. What does that signal to you about the market for this kind of work right now?
I think it confirms a major trend away from quick fixes. It implies that for these senior leaders with that existential pain, they recognize that fundamental psychological rewiring just can't happen in 60 days.
It's not a sprint.
Not for this level of change. The high cost ensures the client is taking their challenge seriously enough to actually sustain the investment, both financially and emotionally, for real systemic change.
So it moves from just defining the next chapter to entirely rewiring how you operate within it. Okay, let's make this real. Let's turn these packages into actual impact. The source material has some excellent testimonials that really show the diversity of the roles and the depth of the results.
The testimonials are really strong. And what's interesting is how they emphasize the internal transformation, not just, getting a better job. For instance, a chief marketing officer for an FMCG company in Singapore said, he didn't just coach me. Aaron rebuilt the entire structure of how I think.
Wow, rebuilt the entire structure of how I think. I mean,
Mm.
that quote from the CMO perfectly illustrates how principle number one isn't just values clarification, it's fundamental cognitive restructuring.
It's changing the operating system.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then you have a chief revenue officer from an AI startup in New York. He praised the connection, saying, the empathy, listening, and strategic insight are on a different level.
Yeah.
And that speaks directly to that unlimited support model.
The psychological component comes up again and again. A VP of sales in pharma, based in London, said he was guided through a complete mental reset.
Again, it's the internal Stellschraub. The psychological aspect just dominates these results. And then for roles focused on people and structure, a chief people officer in Amsterdam highlighted how the skills integrate. She said his understanding of people, strategy, and narrative is exceptional, which shows that identity work feeding directly into strategic positioning.
And it all leads to very tangible, practical outputs. The chief of staff in cybersecurity in Denver said the interview preparation and narrative work were game-changing.
Which proves that the psychological deblocking from, say, the reinvention sprint, it translates directly into effective execution.
You can see the whole framework in that one quote.
You can. And finally, a chief strategy officer in oil and gas in Toronto. He credited the process with helping him step into leadership with authenticity and confidence.
So what does this all mean for you, if you're listening? The themes here are just crystal clear. The success they're talking about isn't just a new title. It's a fundamental change in how you think. It's a new narrative that is compelling because it's actually authentic, and it's that total psychological deblocking.
I think if we were to summarize the central takeaway from all this,
Yeah.
it's that high-level executive transformation, especially when you're dealing with that existential pain. It has to focus on identity work and psychological deblocking first. That's the foundation. Without it, any strategy is just, repositioning an unstable structure.
Absolutely. The source material seems to suggest that achieving success on paper, that achieved the CV problem, is paradoxically way less complex than executing a complete pivot. Which leaves a really important question for you to think about this week. When you're facing an existential career pain point, what fundamental beliefs do you have to challenge or even dismantle, not just adjust? And how might challenging those beliefs completely revolutionize your relationship with your own definition of success? If that sounds like the kind of deep work you need, the source material offers a clear next step. Start that process of finding your own Stellschraub by booking that free discovery call.